Sonic the Hedgehog for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, aka Sonic 06, is widely considered to be a severely flawed disaster of epic proportions. From the clunky camera to the frequent glitches and beyond, the majority of 06's problems stem from the 3D platforming style, a transition point which the bulk of the fan base is in agreement about offering more misses than hits and ultimately being detrimental for the franchise. In an attempt to address these issues, two of the developers within the community named Badog 2002 and ShadowFan33 took it upon themselves to recreate the core mechanics and level layouts of this infamous 7th generation title in a more appealing aesthetic that's reminiscent of the Genesis glory days. The project was finished in late 2011, but I only discovered it recently and I wanted to share it with all of you watching this video right now. So without further ado, let me introduce the wondrous D-make that is Sonic 06 2D. Long before Sonic Mania brought the blue blur back to his traditional 16-bit side-scrolling roots, Sonic 06 2D presented a straightforward Genesis-esque adventure that set out to correct what's largely considered to be the biggest mistake in the history of the nearly 30-year-old series. Badog 2002 and ShadowFan33 essentially removed all of the heavily criticized aspects such as the story and its controversial romance, as well as the aforementioned bugs and design quirks, focusing instead on an abbreviated solo Sonic campaign that retains the stellar soundtrack and runs at a smooth 60 frames per second. Minus the Soliana hub world, everything from Wave Ocean to the climactic encounter with Eggman is included, and the protagonist's signature techniques are carried over, albeit in a less than ideal manner. As far as I can tell, Sonic 06 2D lacks controller support, so I was forced to play through the stages using my laptop's keyboard. As someone who's always relied on my Logitech USB pad whenever I experiment with emulators, playing a fast-paced platformer on a keyboard felt really awkward and my hands were cramping up by the end. The only other complaint I have is that there's no full screen option, which was quite problematic because the Windows default size is ridiculously small. I eventually adapted to the RunT resolution, but I decided to enlarge the recorded footage within my editing software so that none of you had to strain your eyes like I did. Overall, Sonic 06 2D is a cool concept with a slightly marred execution and an annoying tendency to get accidentally identified as a Trojan, requiring any antivirus software to be temporarily disabled in order to boot it up, but as it's a free fan game that hasn't been updated in nearly a decade, I was willing to let all of this slide and I think it's still worth checking out. Hand cramping and eye strain aside, I really enjoyed this and I applaud Badog 2002 and ShadowFan33 for making Sonic 06 more tolerable for the masses. I just wish that they had continued their work on it and added the extra story modes because I would have loved to have gotten a second chance to play as Silver. Luckily for me, I also recently got a comment about a ROM hack starring the telekinetic time traveler, so to close out this 06 extravaganza, here's a look at the S Factor from Aquaslash and Pals. After being doomed to failure via association in his debut outing, Silver returns to the scene in the S Factor, a 2013 ROM hack of the original 16-bit release that teams him up with Sonia, the older sister of his former foe. Unlike the average ROM hacks that simply swap out sprites, the S Factor barely shows traces of its source material with brand new bonus sections, power-ups, and enemies, and Aquaslash and Pals did a great job of providing each character with unique attributes such as Sonia's whirlwind strike and Silver's ability to float across the screen. Sonia is a fantastic addition to the lore, and it was awesome to see Silver get the recognition he deserves on the hardware that started it all. If you are looking for a fresh spin on a familiar classic, I definitely recommend giving this a go. Regardless of whether you appreciate Sonic 06 in spite of its flaws, or you believe it's the devil in video game form, there's plenty of content to dig into between these two titles, and I'll post the download links in the description below so you can give them a try. Anyway, I've had a blast revisiting this old IUPG topic and experiencing it in a new light, but now it's time to redeem my reputation as the LJN Defender! Be sure to come back for that and the retro recommendation of the week, but until then, this is Matt, aka Cygnus Destroyer, signing out. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, the boxes on the screen right now will lead to some more of my videos, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking on my avatar in the bottom right hand corner. Thanks again!